views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough as well as across New York City. Well, coming up on today's show, we go front and center talking about providing tips on how individuals can care for elders during this upcoming holiday season. We'll have some more details a little later on in the show. And then afterwards, we'll learn how the Bowery Mission's children's programs are empowering children to thrive and succeed. A little later on, we'll talk about a not-for-profit that's creating practical options to access healthy meals. You'll want to hear about that. And then we'll discuss some ways that what you can do, to protect yourself from credit card theft during this holiday season when crime is at an all-time high. And then finally, we'll speak to an organization providing solutions, programs, meals, and mutual aid for our community. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. Hello, everyone. I'm Daren, Jaime, and today is Wednesday, December 22nd. Yes, we're coming up on the Christmas holiday, the holiday season, but I do want to thank you for watching Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. And we also want to welcome our viewers who are watching on Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel. Now you can stay connected to us on our social media platforms at BronxNet TV and also at our website at bronxnet.org. Well, a lot has been going on through the course of this past week. We'll take you through a couple of things with our Bronx updates. We start off with community news. The Bronx Borough President was honored by the Universal Hip Hop Society for his work in community service and the community of hip hop. Our BronxNet reporter, Cody Anyuke, brings us the story.
Casanova's all over. You couldn't stop it. Yeah. The Nylon's crew, the Cypress Boys, the Real Rock Steady taking out these toys.
A museum dedicated to the complete study and celebration of hip hop to the world, the Universal Hip Hop Museum commemorated the years of service President Ruben Diaz Jr. continues to symbolize in the Bronx during a night of hip hop love and impact at Marisco Centro.
Everybody know, you know what situation is me and the BP at 851. Vanessa's the next one to get the job done.
Even back then, he was the hip hop assembly member. So it's no secret that getting elected and going to Borough Hall, he would be the hip-hop Bronx Borough President.
As a night of honor, Ruben Diaz Jr. opens up about how hip-hop connected to his life growing up.
When you speak of hip-hop, it's about a way of life. It's not just the music, it's about how you comport yourself. It's about art and how you draw. And I did all of that, especially when it was brand new. In the late 70s, breakdancing to the Sugar Hill Gang. And loving that attention where my mother's youngest sister, my aunt, and her friends were amused and entertained by my breakdancing. I remember when Run DMC came out with Rockbox. It was my first record.
Along with Ruben Diaz Jr., Grandmaster Flash highlights legacy and significance in hip-hop.
Never in my wildest dreams that collectively this particular thing that we were doing will become unarguably the biggest cultural phenomenon on the planet. So for me to even be here to see this is such a blessing.
More and more of our elected officials love hip-hop. The question becomes, can we awaken an electorate? Can we awaken voters so that when you look at all of the inequities in society, which hip-hop, by the way, highlights and are journalists, right? that we start to cure them in a real way. And the way to do that is by having strong politics.
The Universal Hip Hop Museum represents how hip hop continues to impact the world and move us forward.
Reporting from BronxNet, Cody on UCAT.
And thank you, Cody. In other news, the Belmont Business Improvement District actually held a press conference welcoming visitors supporting local businesses in Little Italy in the Bronx. Our BronxNet reporter, Allison McCure, has more details.
The Belmont Business Improvement District on Arthur Avenue, an organization in the Belmont area of the Bronx, welcomed everyone to celebrate small businesses and institutions that stayed open despite COVID-19.
Today, we've got to find ourselves at the nexus, what I like to think of as the nexus of flora, fauna, and food. It'll all make more sense to you down the road. I want to celebrate those three F's and celebrate the families and the institutions that help keep this neighborhood alive during the COVID crisis.
Now that the holidays are fast approaching, shoppers have been seen out and about. Chairman of the Belmont Business Improvement District, Peter Maldonado, says that Little Italy never closed.
We never closed here, so shoppers never didn't come out. More now than ever. Part of it is because we're outside. People are comfortable being outside.
New York City Council member for the 15th District, Oswald Felice, suggests those who know him locally to come out and support small businesses on Arthur Avenue.
Come and support our local businesses. They have, we have the best restaurants in the city of New York right here in Arthur Avenue. Let's continue to support our local businesses so they could stay open, so they could continue to provide the good jobs that they provide. And also so they could continue to make this neighborhood the vibrant community that it is.
Members of the BID aim to promote business development and quality of life. Reporting for BronxNet, I'm Allison McCure.
And thank you, Allison. Great time had by all. Listen, we got more open. Don't go anywhere. It continues coming up after this.
We know that people are dealing with the health crisis, but there's also a lot of food insecurity.
We're giving out healthy food options, and that's what's key here.
If you're a senior, you have a disability, they'll actually deliver meals to you.
The residents are anxious, they're worried, they're scared, they want to be tested.
When things were happening in our community, and we couldn't get the help.
There's almost a presumption of criminality that attaches to your skin color.
The site will prioritize those who are at highest risk in the population.
If you feel symptoms and you'd like to visit one of these COVID-19 testing sites here in the Bronx, you may call the State Health Department's hotline.
Important to note about this site is no reservations are needed. This is a walk-in clinic.
A lot of us are out of work and looking for something to do.
We have the machinery and the skills to make large scales of these masks and gowns.
Take care of your people. It's going to go way further than we actually can understand.
Right now, employees like myself are just adjusting to the new reality.
And welcome back to the show. As you know, during the holidays, there is a lot of pressure for people to actually enjoy themselves during the season. But there are many elders who feel increasingly isolated and unhappy, particularly during this time of year. Now, our first guest is a behavioral health expert with pointers for families who are actually getting together with their elders during this holiday season after being apart during the pandemic. And joining us now to give us a few more details, we've got the Associate Director of Community Mental Health Services Programs at VNSNY, Deirdré DeLeo. And thank you so much for being with us, Deirdré.
Thanks so much for having me, Daren. And this is a very important topic, right?
It is. I mean, I think when you think about the fact that, for a lot of people prior to, these numbers rising are really anticipating getting themselves together, and families who haven't seen themselves in a long time. And we know that seniors have been one of the most highly impacted groups during this time, and there has to be some sensitivity towards them.
Absolutely. So we're dealing right now with the fact that, we have a new variant, the numbers are rising, and we're dealing with a population of older adults that before the pandemic were already isolated due to changes in their lifestyle, changes in their physical abilities. And then, as you mentioned, COVID has really taken a toll on our older adults, right? They're the most vulnerable and most susceptible, to COVID. So there's a lot of stress about the holidays, and then the pandemic has just increased that stress.
And the stress is really increased to the place where people are just kind of like, as I said, in the open, pondering whether or not to get together, and if they are getting together, they're getting together with some anticipation. So how do we start to mitigate and get rid of some of that stress, particularly if I'm a person that's going to be engaging with the senior?
Sure. So there's, we still need to be doing our social distancing, right? We need to wear masks. We need to think about or talk to our medical providers about the options of the vaccine, the boosters. There are other things, before the pandemic, getting together with family might mean that we're all sitting together in the same room. However, for the holidays, perhaps to keep everybody safe, we might need to be doing what you and I are doing and doing this virtually and connecting virtually. And lots of families have created new memories and new traditions by having their parties virtual.
And one of the things we can do is actually record. I mean, that's one of the things. You can record a Zoom, and that's something that you can always keep as a memory. I know it's not the same as meeting in public, but it is some alternatives, and I know some families are actually using that as well. But talk to me about families. What are some of the things that when we talk about either the families or elders actually fear during this time?
Sure. So, it's the holidays, first of all, right? So we know we've got the pandemic, and that's a huge fear, but the holidays always come with stress, right? We're worried about finances. We have pressure to buy the perfect present for everybody. For individuals that are working, it's arranging time off from work, traveling, which is now even more complicated with COVID. There's longstanding family issues or new family issues that you might have to be dealing with. You're dealing with different generations in a family. So you've got your teenagers who may be just kind of wanting their own time and space and pulling away. Maybe you're grieving loss. Perhaps, during the pandemic, you've lost your job or someone's passed away. Or a relationship. You could lose a relationship. So there's a lot going on, and it just gets, like I said, intensified because now we're already stressed from the pandemic.
Yeah. And so as we approach this time of year, obviously a lot of people are excited. And yes, as I said at the top of the show, excited about really seeing their loved ones. So talk to me about, as we gather together, what are some of the things that you would best recommend if I'm going to be in this family setting? How could I really make some things more accommodating?
Sure. So, kind of checking in on how everybody's doing, right? People also need to give themselves permission and be realistic about what's going to happen, right? So if if my family of 25 can't all be in the room, we need to kind of talk about that and admit that, and we need to figure out how to do that differently. It's okay to say to somebody, you know what, I'm feeling a little stressed. So if you are and you need to take your time, take some time for yourself every day. Keep doing those healthy things that you were doing before the holidays. So if you were somebody who got outside and exercised, do that. We know the days are shorter, so we don't have as much exposure to sunlight. So getting out during the sunlight every day and exposing yourself to the sun, it makes us feel better. If you've got a family member who's very quiet and not really reaching out to anybody, reach out to them first. Don't wait. Connect. Make sure that they feel connected.
Are there any common mistakes that we actually make during this time that maybe you can share with us, that we don't make a unhealthy mistake?
Well, I think, and we're all guilty of this, right? We all want our holidays to be perfect, right? I want to get the best present. I want, if somebody's coming to my home, I have to have the best food. I have to have everything perfect. Be realistic. Not everything is perfect. Think about what's in your control and what's not in your control. And perhaps you can't afford that really expensive present this year because of the pandemic. It's okay, right? It's more about the thought and the fact that you've really put some time and effort into saying, this person's special to me, and this is what I think that person would really appreciate. So just, again, manage the expectations for yourself and for others if you can.
And as I was looking and preparing, one of the things I noticed was that, adults that really have been spending a lot of time more isolated, they actually become the better candidates for depression.
Yes, isolation certainly is a symptom of depression. And so, if we're isolated, it makes sense that we would then start to feel more sad. So, we are humans, and part of the human condition is that we need to have that human connections with other people on a regular basis. And the pandemic has taken that away from a lot of us. So making commitments to yourself that you're going to continue your connections with people, and it may not be the same. I can't necessarily, go out to dinner with my closest friends all the time, but I can call them. I can have a video chat with them. Um, and it's easy in the stress of the holidays to say, I don't have time, but make that commitment to yourself to find the time, because the more we connect with other people and the more we talk to other people, the more we protect ourselves from feeling sad.
Yeah, give some real healthy tips there, and thank you, Deirdré, so much for sharing with us. And I think that for all of us, there's some things we actually take for granted during this time of year, and so having the best information of knowing that some people that we talk to, maybe they may not be as talkative, or maybe they might not be as bright and cheerful. And we have to embrace that. So thanks so much for sharing those tips with us, and best wishes and happy holidays to you.
Same to you. And for anybody who is struggling with any feelings of excessive worry or excessive sadness, please reach out to VNSNY at 1-800-675-0391. We have loads of services, and we love to be of help to everyone. Happy holidays, Daren.
Hey, happy holidays to you as well. And want to let you know, yes, if you want to find out about the loads of services, don't forget there's a phone number that you call. She just gave it to you, but also visit their website at vnsny.org. We have more show coming up. We don't want you to go anywhere. Open continues coming up right after this.
built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
And welcome back to the show. The Bowery mission has served New Yorkers serving from homelessness, poverty, and hunger, providing a full array of care for children to adults. Now, the organization's children's programs empower children to actually thrive and succeed through opportunities for leadership, skill building, as well as personal growth. And joining me now to share a little bit more details about what goes on at the Bowery Mission, we are pleased to be joined by the Associate Director of Children's Programs at the Bowery Mission, Jacqueline Ramales. And Jacqueline, good to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. And during this time of the year, I know that your organization is pretty busy. I gave a little intro to our viewers, but for somebody who may not be so familiar with the Bowery Mission, please take us through.
Sure. So for the holidays, we do a lot to prep and a lot to make our families feel like we really are in community with them. So it starts in, really the planning starts in the summer for our holiday events. But what we do in November is we have the ability for them to come and be in community with us here through having games and field games. And then we also are able to provide them with a turkey giveaway, as well as a gift card for fresh foods, which is often really hard to find, even in pantries. There's a lot of dry goods out there, but we really want them to also be able to attain fresh foods for their Thanksgiving dinners. And as for the holidays, in December, we really focus on being able to provide means by which they can get toys for the holiday season for their kids. And so right now this week, what we're doing is we're having our annual toy shop event, which is the opportunity for people in our South Bronx programming and in our East programming to come here and purchase some toys at really discounted rates for their children.
And so for you, talk to me about this time of year, because we know that the holidays, you guys are engaged in a lot of activities, but in the midst of COVID, what has it been like in terms of the clients that you serve and also the volunteers that you have?
Last year, I feel like we're talking about two different seasons of COVID. The first wave of COVID I felt was really hard. Last holiday season still felt there was a lot of worries in the air. There was a lot of troubles that the families were facing. This year, those troubles are still there. However, there's a sense of hope. There's a sense of coming together again in community. So for example, last year, Thanksgiving event was more focused like a stop by and go, like a grab and go kind of event. And this year we were able to come together with the kids and the families in a safe space, in a safe way. And I think that really makes a difference for the families to feel like they're in community with others and also with us.
Yeah, being in community during a time like this is very important. I think that for a lot of people, this family structure definitely gets a lot of strength by doing the work that you guys do. And I know that some of the things that you do, extend beyond the holidays, and you got a city camp. And if you want, you just take a few moments and share with our viewers a little bit about your Mont Lawn City Camp.
Yeah, so our programming operates year round. We have the opportunity to be with the kids almost every week of the year. And what we do is we offer enrichment classes that take place in the afternoons for children to come and sign in. So they can sign up for a class that's an art class or a STEM class. And what we do here that's a little different is that we dive in deeper. So in each of our classes, no matter if it's a sports class or an arts class, we teach a social emotional skill. So we really believe that creates an important framework for the kids to thrive and succeed. And for example, this cycle we had chess, right? But we really talked to them about initiative, right? What does it mean to take initiative through the game of chess, and walk them through that each week. And for our STEM class, we talked about teamwork. So we had a lot of teamwork projects for them to dive in together. And we really wanted them to understand the importance of being on a team, the different roles on a team, and why that's so instrumental for them as they grow. And we go through that for the full school year. And in the summertime, we have the ability to invite them to come to our summer camp that's out in Bushkill, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And I was going to interrupt and say for a second, but talk to me about when you're in the life of a child like that, the experience that they have, the exposure that they have. What do you think are some of the takeaways by just being able to have this, by able to have the camp experience?
We hear a lot from the families about how this space to the children has become so special. Last year, we were out of this space. We were virtual, and so all of our classes took place over Zoom. And earlier in the school year, when the kids came back, there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of buzz. Finally, we're back here. I've missed this place so much. And I think that speaks to what we create here, right? What we foster. We want to foster a sense of this is their extended home. This is a place not just for the children too, but for the families. And I think we've had the ability to see how children have grown over the years. We've had kids that have been with us for 8+ years. Our summer camp is a lot older than our city camp programming. And so we've seen kids go from being 6-year-olds and being their first time at camp and crying and wanting to go home to then being summer staff and coming back each year to support us in that way. And it's been a blessing for sure.
So for you, as you look forward to the future, how can people participate in, first of all, the activities that you have, and then second of all, in volunteering?
Volunteering is a big component of our program here. We have a mentoring program that starts with kids at age 9 and it goes through age 17. And honestly, if you're a volunteer here, you're a long time volunteer. By chance. So our mentors sign up to volunteer for at least a year, but many of them have stayed for 5, 6, 7 years to be here. We also have volunteers that come and they help support a class, so they'll help with teaching the course during like one of our seasons. And also we've had volunteers come for the holidays. So behind or in front of me, which you can see, is our toy shop setup. And that was only able to be created by the help of volunteers because it was a mess. There was boxes everywhere, plays up, and really our volunteers came through for us. So there's many ways throughout the year to get plugged in.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. And certainly, I know that there's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes to really take care of young people, families, and you do a great job. Jacqueline, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I had to laugh about that mess because I think about my own Christmas tree and what's going on in my house, and I can say a mess indeed. Yeah. Well, listen, if you want more information, please visit their website, Bowery.org, and then also follow them on social media at Bowery Mission. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We do have more open coming up right after this. And welcome back. Rethink Food is a not-for-profit organization whose mission is to create a more equitable food system. 42 million Americans are actually suffering from food insecurity as we speak. They believe access to food is essential to human dignity and to the ability to contribute to society. Joining us now to share more details is the Executive Director of Programs at Rethink Food, Nathan Ricke. And Nathan, good to have you.
Thank you so much, Daren. It's good to be here.
It's good to be here. In some ways, I'm glad to have you. In some ways, it's like, because when we think about food insecurity, how rough it is across New York, across the United States right now, and things are further exacerbated by COVID. So give us a little insight as to where you are and what you're seeing with regards to food insecurity.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, there are too many Americans that are experiencing food insecurity every day. In New York City alone, there are 1.5 million people estimated to experience food insecurity on a daily basis. And Rethink seeks to address that in a new and interesting way. We work through two primary models, as you said, to create a more equitable and sustainable food system. We transform underutilized food that's collected from restaurants, catering, and grocery stores into healthy, nutritious meals. And we also activate local restaurants to cater their local community centers to ensure that more New Yorkers have access to a healthy, delicious, nutritious, and culturally specific meal.
Yeah. And so for yourself, talk to me about the organization. How did it first start, and how did you get to where you are today?
So we were founded in 2017 with the idea of basically improving the quality of food that was available through local community centers. So our original model is we have a team that collects underutilized food from a wide range of partners, brings it back to a central commissary kitchen, and a team of professional cooks and chefs basically do an episode of Chopped every day, and they turn that into delicious, healthy meals that go back out to community centers across New York City. So that was our model until April of 2020 when COVID shut down the city. And at the time, I was actually working in my restaurant. I have a background in nonprofit management, and I joined up with Rethink in April 2020. We had this idea to activate local restaurants to participate in this also. We knew it was a really good match. Community centers are really good at organizing people, getting volunteers, assisting their community. And restaurants want to feed people, and they want to do a nice job. They want people to enjoy what they're eating. So we thought we wanted to try to bring the two together. So we started really small with 5 or 6 restaurants, and we grew the program really rapidly. The response was overwhelming. And at our height, we had over 100 restaurants in the program, serving in 5 cities, including New York, sending food to over 250 community organizations. Since April of 2020, we've actually been able to direct $28 million to local independent restaurants in those 5 cities. And those restaurants have donated 5.5 million meals to local community centers. In the Bronx alone, in 2021 alone, we've served over 500,000 meals from local restaurants in the Bronx.
And when I think about some of the work that you've done, I mean, honestly, you said almost 5 million meals have actually been doled out since you've been doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. So we grew really rapidly. In response to COVID, we saw that there was an emergency, and so Rethink kicked off an emergency program in a matter of days. Like everybody else, we thought this was going to be a 4 to 6 to 8 week response. But we were really fortunate that our partners really responded to the program. We were able to find people to help us keep the mission moving forward and just continue growing as the response needed to continue. Our growth followed really closely along with COVID's growth in New York City. So as the infection rate was growing, so was our meal output. We just saw community centers were experiencing longer and longer lines, more people coming than ever before. Organizations that had never worked in food insecurity were flipping their model because that was the overwhelming need from the clients that they were serving, was a way to feed their family easily and healthily. So Rethink was really honored that we were able to identify such a wide group of like-minded people to help us grow the program.
Yeah. And so talk about the certified program and what that actually means.
Absolutely. So when we realized that this was not going to be a short-term response and would be part of Rethink's mission moving forward, we decided to start building this network of restaurants that would share our passion and our mission to address food insecurity, and to do it in an equitable and sustainable way. And so what we mean by that is we make long-term commitments to community centers and long-term commitments to restaurants. Many of our restaurants we've been working with since the beginning of the COVID shutdown in New York City in March and April of 2020. In the Bronx, we've worked with over 10 restaurants. Right now, we work with kosher, halal, Mexican, Caribbean, a whole range of partners to make sure that local community centers have access to delicious meals. They're also nutritious, that are cooked by local restaurants, not coming from miles and miles away. In most cases, our centers are just a couple miles away from the restaurants that are serving them.
And so when you talk about impact, have you ever thought about the fact that, you know, you guys have had such a significant amount of impact? I know that you did this to, you know, with another thought in mind, but to be where you are today and thinking about the impact that you've made, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been really, really incredible. Like you mentioned, it's every nonprofit. It's bittersweet that they need to exist. We're all trying to address problems that we don't believe should exist, but they do. Rethink in 2022 is going to celebrate its 5th anniversary. And so we're really focused on finding sustainable solutions to the challenges that we're faced with. And that's one of our visions for the Rethink Certified program, is to continue to grow its impact, not just in New York, but in other cities. We also have partnerships in San Francisco, Chicago, Nashville, Washington, D.C., and we recently launched in Miami also. So we really see this as a model that is replicable in any city, anywhere that people are experiencing food insecurity, and anywhere where there are restaurants, which unfortunately is anywhere.
Yeah. And so the goal for you during this holiday season, as you look to close out the year, do you have some goals in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So during this giving season through December 31st, our board has generously agreed to match any donation 3 times. So any donation that's received by Rethink will be triple matched by our board through December 31st. You can go to rethinkfood.org to learn more about our restaurant partners, our community partners, and how to get more involved. But that's our goal right now, is we're looking to establish a way of having a sustainable and clear path forward through 2022, as hopefully New York City and other cities start to emerge from the shadow of COVID. But I know we still have a little ways to go.
Yeah. A lot of great work that you're doing, Nathan, and certainly the impact you've made is significant. And the need is great. So thank you for what you continue to do. And hopefully we'll continue to bring you back on, I should say, in 2022. We'll have more conversation and see how things worked out.
Absolutely. I'd love to be back. Thank you so much.
Nathan Ricke, our guest here, he is the Executive Director of Programs at Rethink Food. Now, for more information, please visit their website at rethinkfood.org. Follow them also on Instagram and Twitter at Rethink Food. Well, we encourage you, please don't go anywhere. We've got more show. Open continues coming up after this. And welcome back. During this holiday season, people tend to make a great deal of credit card purchases, more than they do actually during the whole year altogether. Now, unfortunately, the increase in spending creates greater opportunity for scammers who prey on shoppers. And naturally, there's a significant rise of increase in credit card fraud during this time of year. The question is, how can a person actually protect themselves from credit card theft? Here to tell us more is the president and CEO of National Retail Solutions, Elie Katz. And Elie, good to have you.
Hey, always great to be here. Thank you so much for having me back, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. Yeah, some people say it's the most beautiful time of the year. Other people say it's an ugly time of the year, particularly because there is, as I said in the intro, a lot of scams going on, a lot of people taking advantage of credit card fraud. So give us a little bit of insight as to what we can typically see during this time when it comes to credit card fraud.
So unfortunately, it is a time when credit card fraud has gone up, or I've seen it go up. National Retail Solutions is one of the largest credit card processors for the independent convenience store space, and growing obviously to other verticals. But I will tell you, card not present is usually a big one. You know, I have a 16-year-old son, and he dabbles in buying fancy clothing off of the internet. And he has gotten in trouble, or I should say our credit cards have gotten in trouble when he goes to these unknown websites and he puts the credit card information in to purchase something. Next thing you know, we have to cancel those cards. So rule number one, card present. Try to give your card and make sure you get your card. When I go to an ATM, and this is just me, I'm not giving, you know, I actually look to see if there's any type of card reader, right? I mean, sometimes they're noticeable and sometimes they're not, where they put some type of card reader where they'll read your card and copy your card. And I do that at gas pumps also. But also when I give my card to an attendant or to a merchant, I watch to make sure that that card goes either to be dipped, chipped, and hand back to me. And that's very important. Then if you're going to do online purchases, which a lot of people do shy away from online purchases now, or they go, you know, because of the fraud that's going on, make sure you do it with a site that's reputable, and make sure that you know where you're putting your credit card in. And that's important. And some people say, you know what, why do I care about credit card fraud? The credit card companies will cover me, they'll protect me. Okay, first of all, there's thresholds. Second of all, there's inconveniences and nuisances. And third, the challenges that you may end up having if it goes even further with identity theft, etc. It could really set you back on your credit, set you back, etc. So avoid it. We don't need trouble. You don't need to fix trouble. Avoid trouble.
When we talk about trouble, trouble comes when you're really finding yourself in a place where your card has been compromised. I think you said it earlier. Sometimes people go behind the notion that, listen, you know what? The credit card company is going to cover it. But I want you to delve a little bit deeper because, yeah, there are some more layers to this, simply because, you know, yeah, okay, the credit card company may cover it, but yes, your name is out there, your information is out there, and now you have a whole lot more to worry about.
And keep to the word may, okay? Because may, you never know, you know, what their position is going to be on certain items, on certain thresholds, etc. So keep to the word may. And because I've seen challenges on credit cards where they don't necessarily win. So it's not a win to fight. And as you know, when you fight, no one ever wins, right? There may be a compromise, or, you know, you might have won the battle, lose the war. Avoid the fight.
Yeah. So here we are today, and you're a person that works National Retail Solutions. Give us a little bit about what we should be doing during this time of year if we want to make things better. Obviously, we know that the fraud is out there, scammers are out there, but give us some tips on what we should be doing in order to make things better for ourselves in terms of preparing.
So I will say, as when it comes to terrorists, or even financial terrorists, you want to call them, you just have to beat them by enjoying life. Go shopping, spend money, support your local stores. Make sure you're vigilant and keep an eye on where your credit card is going and who's looking at your numbers. You know, as you know, several years ago, it changed that receipts only print the last 4 digits on the credit cards, when it used to print the whole entire thing. Make sure that that's still the case at the merchant that you're in. You know, I was in a store this morning where they should have had a dip, but they made me swipe. Okay, but you know what? I watched the card swipe, I took the card back, and hopefully the person doing it doesn't have a photographic memory.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to really pay attention to. And let's be honest, I mean, just as soon as you perfect yourself and you get in a place where you're actually honestly protecting yourself against one thing, you got to deal with something else, because these scammers and these fraud guys, they're at the top of their game.
They're multiplying. You know, everyone thinks it may be Russia or China or some other country. You know what? There's lots of people here in the US, unfortunately and sadly, trying to take advantage of people of all ages. But I'll tell you, the most vulnerable of our population, which has always been the most vulnerable to scams and flim-flams, whatever that word means, has been the senior population. And it's important that the senior population also stays vigilant. You know, they understand that they are targets to these scams. And the scams come in so many different ways. A lot of them are coming in emails. You know, you're due a refund. I've been trying to get in touch with you, and this is going to be my last email. You have to call the IRS immediately because otherwise we're sending people to your door. There's so many different scams that are out there. Be conscious, don't open links, and just be ultra paranoid. Unfortunately, you have to in this world.
Ultra paranoid, I like that. Well, listen, before we go, I got to get this quick question. I only have a couple minutes left, but talk to me about retailers and what are they actually doing? Because in addition to the consumer, the retailer is also taking some precautions, and I know that's along the line of work that you do.
So retailers are taking precautions. A lot of them are going with the contactless payments, right? So you're not really handing anyone a card anymore. Obviously, the dipping of your chip has been something EMV compliant for several years. Gas stations, and this just happened in the last year or so, gas stations are one of the prime places to be targeted for fraud. And why is that? For credit card processing fraud? Why is that? Because there is no real attendant outside. You know, when you're in New Jersey, you have that luxury of having an attendant come and putting the gas into your car and handing them the card, which you're handing them the card, by the way, that's the red flag. But in other places, then there's no one really watching. So they could set up some type of, grab your number, etc., from the card. And the name escapes me what it's called right now. I'll remember it as soon as we finish the interview. So gas stations are specifically a place, and just in the last year, there became an EMV requirement to put your chip into the pumps. But what's the but? These merchants or these gas stations around the country haven't been changing over, because in order for them to do that, it is a very expensive process. They have to rip out their pumps. They have to get the new pumps that have the chip enabled pumps. It's a delay in business. It costs a lot of money. It's destructive. They may have to be down for a few weeks. So we actually came out with a gas station end-to-end solution where there is an EMV retrofit kit that's put on the pumps. And that's part of our NRS pay processing. And that gives the merchant the ability to switch to the EMV compliant at the pumps fairly quickly, very inexpensive, no downtime.
Wow, amazing. Well, Ellie, thank you so much for being with us. Best wishes to you during this holiday season, and certainly we'll catch up with you in the new year, and we'll let our viewers know more information. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you, Daren. I love being here, and I want to wish you and your family and the entire BronxNet family a happy and healthy holiday season.
Hey, the same to you, the same to you. All right, we are going to take a quick break, but I want you to know before, if you want to get in touch with Ellie, yes, reach them social media, National Retail Solutions. We'll be back. We got more show coming up.
NRSplus.com. Thank you, Daren.
Yes, sir. And I forgot about that, but you got it in there for me.
Oh, sorry.
All righty. No, you did right. Correction is good. All righty, we'll be back with more show in a minute. And welcome back. Food is an essential part of all of our daily lifestyle and all of our communities. And Mission Helping Hand is an organization that's providing quality food solutions for communities in need. Their mission is to have the maximum positive effect on the community we serve by providing mutual aid as well as meals to our community. And sharing with us a little bit more details about the organization and the work that they're doing, we are pleased to have the founder of Mission Helping Hand, Bruce Blue Rivera. And Bruce, good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. And, as we say, providing a helping hand is literally what you're doing. But for somebody who doesn't know about your organization, walk us and give us a little history.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think we've all pretty much been affected over the past, almost 2 years now. And that's where we started, Mission Helping Hands. I had lost my job, and just as a lot of other people were just kind of confused into what we do and how we could help, seeing so many people that were in a bad spot before the pandemic. And I think a lot of people don't realize that is that, a lot of Bronx residents weren't in a good place to begin with, or even prepared to take on, a pandemic. So I just basically rerouted a lot of my resources from my regular job to figure out how I can help. And it was just kind of like helping friends, mothers, and people who were a little too old, and there was no food in the supermarket. So how could we help? So we got together, we pulled, and we started making almost care packages, boxes that we got to get them through the week. We didn't know the extent, but our care package ended up going from 9 to 21 to 36 to 47 boxes. And we realized that there was something here. And we would call organizations and say, hey, we're a group of people, young professionals trying to get together and help our community. And the first thing they would say was, well, what organization you're with, what charitable organization, what nonprofit. And that's when the light went off. And I said, you know what, there's a need here. There's a necessity here. And I just kind of put together whatever I could out of my own savings and put together. We went forward. We bought food. We did what we could, and then it just grew. And then it grew. And currently, we're feeding about 1,700 families in the South Bronx every week. We have a weekly pantry. We have 3 gardens that we actively are growing food in the South Bronx. Not only for finding out like the needs, but then you see what else happens. We also do a pet initiative once a month for pet healthcare and for pet food. Just having a conversation just with us, with community members, that people would rather feed their pets than feed themselves. So we figured, we have to meet those needs. Coats, dries for the winter, toys for the kids. I mean, whatever is kind of there, we kind of lend that helping hand. And that's kind of where the name came from, the Mission Helping Hands. That's pretty much how it started, just basically being someone living in a community and looking around and going, who's going to help? And the cavalry's not going to come, so we kind of had to do it on our own.
Right. So for you, making that transition and saying, listen, you use personal funds, you went into your savings and decide that you wanted to do that. A lot of risk involved. But what was the catalyst for you saying, listen, you know what? I'm willing to put it all on the line right here?
Well, I think it was an investment. I don't think it was a gamble. I think it was an investment. Being from the South Bronx and seeing, a lot of people don't realize, that these mom and pop, these CBO, community-based organizations, really have been here dating back, from the beginnings of the South Bronx, taking care of the needs of specific communities or specific areas. So it was just kind of following the line in that, when I decided just to light the fire. I read a lot about the Young Lords and, the Black Panthers food pantry, free food for the people. And I was just like, you know what? This is the way we're going. And I feel like it wasn't a gamble. I didn't know how long it was going to be. I didn't expect to be doing this now at this point in time, but it was more of an investment in hope of our community, an investment in just being consistent. I think growing up in the South Bronx and knowing that programs would come and go, really affected our belief in these programs and what they really were there for, or what their intentions were. We're there every Saturday, rain, snow, Christmas, holiday, we're there. And people, they really learn to believe and to trust in us because we're not only from the community, but we have not showed up.
So you got volunteers, I'm sure, that assist you in the work that you do. How do the volunteers actually become a part of the work that you do?
Yeah, it's amazing. Social media has helped us so much. Instagram and just getting the word out. And, one of the biggest misconceptions that, in the Bronx or in urban areas is that the youth don't care about their community or they're not invested in their community. And we're a shining example. We've activated over 800 volunteers since we've started, ranging from ages 5 to 85, people who are members of church groups, other CBOs that have stepped up and said, we love what you're doing, how can we help? We have manpower, everything from the guardian angels to SOS to, you name it, and it's across the gamut. It's not one particular group or demographic that's helping. It's literally a community coming together to help the community. So our volunteers are our backbone. They are extremely valuable, but it's also, I think, a testament of where we're at and what needs to be done for our community. It's words are great, but action is, black and white,
Yeah. So talk to me about the holidays, how you're approaching the holidays. I know there's heavy need throughout the course of the show. We've been talking with people who've really said that, listen, this season it's requiring more volunteers and more impact.
It has, and it's become more planning ahead. So we just got through Thanksgiving. We distributed, I believe, 900 turkeys, fixings, the whole nine. We had 3 distributions, and before that, we already started thinking about Christmas. And I think planning was a big part of what we're doing and getting it out. Our pantry is still running on Christmas Day at 864th Avenue, Christchurch, every Saturday, just because it's New Year's Day or because it's Christmas. It's still a Saturday. We will still be there. We will be distributing on the 18th toys. On the 25th, there will be coats, hats, gloves for children, men, women. And then I believe also on the 1st, we're going to be doing coats drives. We also do vaccination drives, testing. A lot of these areas that we service are in almost a health or a medical drought, believe it or not, and they're really underserviced. So we really try to highlight that as much as we can with our platform. We're more than just food. We're about community enrichment and mutual aid.
Well, I want to thank you. I do want to thank you for being with us and sharing a lot about the organization. Great work that you're doing, and really inspiring to see somebody just turn around and really turn it around for good in a matter like you're doing. And thank you so much for being with us, Bruce.
Thank you so much. And I would love to have you or anybody come on down and volunteer with us. We'd love to see you. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it only takes one time. People, I don't have time. But if you can find that one day, that one moment, and just really see somebody and meet somebody in your community and lend that helping hand, it changes the world of difference, especially during the holiday season.
If I get life, health, and strength, count me in. You got me. One day you'll get me there. 2022, you got me.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Bruce Blue Rivera, again, thank you so much for coming on, the great work that you're doing, the inspiration. And yes, we look to see great things happening for you, both in 2021 and also in this new year, 2022. Now, listen, if you want more information, we encourage you to visit the website at missionhelpinghand.com and then follow them on Instagram and Twitter at MissionHHNYC. Well, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the Recablecast on BronxNet's Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. If you want a brand new episode of Open, well, guess what? You catch my girl, Rena Valentine. She'll be bringing you the best of arts and entertainment on our Friday Open. And there you can see what you want to see. Until the next time we meet, I'm Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel wide open.